Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th presentation on Blog Talk Radio. Our show is captured and linked to YouTube video. The programs are listed in the archives of both Blog Talk Radio and YouTube video. You can watch as well as listen. Links can be found on Facebook as well. We refer to our efforts as Musings with Steve and Teresa, and we'll welcome our opinions during the discussion. I'm Steve, a co-host.
I'm Teresa, the other co-host.
We're here to enlighten, entertain, and inform about issues we think are important. We want people to think about how positive actions make positive people. Now, anyone wanting to join our discussion can call us at 347-308-8409. You'll be next in line. Again, 347-308-8409. Today is Valentine's Day, and we want to wish a happy Valentine's Day to all. May your day be better than you expected. We thought we would explore a little history about the origins and adaptations of Valentine's Day. We found much. Our data covers more than 2,000 years of celebrations, festivals, protests, executions, and murder. Quite a range of activities for a loving holiday. And so we present our findings. Teresa?
Millions around the world celebrate Valentine's Day every year. Billions of dollars and other forms of currency are spent on gifts to show one's affections for another. It ranks second in card sales after Mother's Day. Why do we do this? It's tradition. This tradition has its beginnings in ancient history. Our modern day celebration has evolved through time and is still evolving. We found some very interesting traditions. However, we will begin in ancient Roman times, which occurred during the first few centuries. That'd be 200 to 479. That's right, 3 digits. Approximately 1,500 years ago. First, the most recognized symbol of love, which is Cupid, the god of love. It is said that if Cupid shoots his arrow of love and hits you, that you will fall hopelessly and madly in love with the next person you meet. In Roman mythology, Cupid is the son of Venus, the goddess of love. In Greek mythology, he was known as Eros and was the son of Aphrodite, so he fit in from the beginning. Did you know Cupid is sometimes blindfolded? Why? Because love is blind. Steve?
For pagan Romans, February the 14th was a holiday devoted to Juno, queen of the gods, and the patroness of marriage. They would hold a love lottery. Every young female's name goes into a jar, and the male's picked. They would then be partnered for the duration of the festival, and I'm leaving out the details of that festival. Many pairings resulted in lasting relationships. The next day was Lupercalia, the 15th. The festival would begin with animal sacrifice in the grotto where the she-wolf suckled the legendary founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. The priest would then smear animal blood on 2 previously chosen boys. The boys would take animal hides and lead the revelers through the streets and fields, whipping women and crops to promote fertility. And then the party got started. Terry?
Meanwhile, the decline of the Roman Empire was in full swing. More and more soldiers were needed to protect the ailing empire from predators, which were many. Emperor Claudius II decided that unmarried men would make better soldiers. No emotional attachments. Sounds good, but the people were outraged. But due to the political system of the time, they could not publicly protest this unjust ban on marriage. Now enter a Catholic cleric named Valentine. He was a priest or a bishop. Records are unclear because there are 3 clerics at the time named Valentine, and they were all martyred on February 14th. Steve?
One of them sided with the people that didn't agree on the ban on marriage. He realized the injustice of the decree and saw the anguish and trauma to the young ones who had to give up hopes of marriage. He decided to counter the monarch's orders in secret. Valentine would secretly marry any couple that asked. He became a friend of lovers. Well, the emperor caught wind of this friend of lovers and had Valentine arrested and imprisoned. The emperor was quite angry. Valentine refused to agree with the ban on marriage. Claudius tried to convert him to the Roman gods. Valentine refused. and tried to convert Claudius to the Christian God and got himself executed. Before the end of the rule, Emperor Claudius II executed two men named St. Valentines, both on the February 14th, but in different years in the 3rd century A.D. Terry?
2 centuries later, Pope Gelasius I decided to dedicate the 14th of February to the long-dead cleric. He also combined Lupercalia, which hadn't died out yet, with the new St. Valentine's Day in an effort to expel the pagan rituals. The lotteries were banned as being unchristian, and he did his best to change people's thinking away from the ancient fertility rite. His efforts were obviously not in vain. Most people these days have little knowledge of the origin of these traditions. I know I had no clue, never even thought about it until now.
However, not everyone celebrates the same. I discovered a growing movement of anti-Valentine's Day, Singles Awareness Day, or SAD, S-A-D, has been growing for over a decade, and it's celebrated between February the 13th and February the 15th. Valentine's Day can be lonely for singles, so a Single Awareness Day offers an alternative celebration for those without a date or a romantic partner to share Valentines. It's an alternate holiday that they can celebrate without all the guilt, inadequacy, and self-abuse that Valentine's Day traditionally holds for single people. Terry?
They're not anti-love or anti-romance or anti-relationship. They're against the hollow gestures prescribed by the people who are out to make money for the holiday. Again, they're against constant reminders that couples equals normal and that anyone who isn't in a relationship or doesn't want to be is weird. They're against anyone with the vested interest telling us how and when it's appropriate to be affectionate. Say it with a rose and diamond forever. What's better? A partner who's a thoughtless pig all year round, but manages to get you some hearts and flowers on Valentine's Day because the media told him it was time to. Or someone who does nothing spectacular and flashy in the middle of February, but sends flowers on a random Wednesday morning and uses their own words, which may not rhyme, but mean more than any stuffed bear could ever manage. Every day is a good day to tell someone you love them, right?
Recommended activities are pretty much anything that you can think of to make yourself or others feel better about the day being alone. Anti-Valentine's Day cards and other paraphernalia can be purchased on the internet. American Greeting Corporation has an anti-Valentine's Day card line since 2006. Others are jumping on the anti-Valentine's Day bandwagon too. Not just single people. Many schools are doing away with Valentine's Day and turning it into a Friend Appreciation Day. As the name implies, you tell your friends in the media of your choice that you appreciate it about them, and I like it. It looks like no matter what you call it or how you celebrate it, February will remain the month of love, just as it's been for over 1,500 years. Terry?
However, priests weren't the only ones to be executed on Valentine's Day. One of the most infamous mass murders in American history occurred in Chicago in 1929. It was the Prohibition era, and the town was ruled by gangsters, the real original gangsters. Al Capone and Bugs Moran had rivals, gangs, and hated each other. Capone and his boys decided it was time to end the Moran gang. The plan was really a simple sting with a few twists. Some wanted a truckload of Primo whiskey for sale, and a meeting was arranged for February 14th at Moran's taxi garage. During the transaction, Capone's men arrived in a stolen police car in uniforms. Everyone thinks they're busted and lines up against the wall. They knew the procedure. The bogus cops and the other Capone men that were hiding in the car pull out Tommy guns and proceed to massacre the Bugs Moran gang. However, Moran managed to escape injury because he arrived late, just as the bogus cops were busting in. He saw what was going on and took off. The neighborhood thought it was a raid by police and remained relatively calm. The massacre that took 7 lives that day in 1929 made newspaper headlines across the country. People were shocked by the brutality. This was one of the first major crimes that the new ballistic science was used. However, no one was ever tried or convicted for the massacre. The police never had enough evidence to convict Capone, although the public knew he was responsible. See?
Okay, now, one of the ways that Valentine's Day can become commercial is illustrated in the following story. A guy walks into the post office one day to see a middle-aged, balding man standing at the counter, methodically placing love stamps on bright pink envelopes with hearts all over them. He then takes out a perfume bottle and starts spraying scent all over them. His curiosity being the better of him, he goes up to the balding man and asks him what he's doing. The man says, I'm sending out 1,000 Valentine cards signed guess who? Well, but why? Asks the man. I'm a divorce lawyer. Dum-dee-dum-dum.
A couple came upon a wishing well. The wife leaned over, made a wish, and threw in a penny. The husband decided to make a wish too, but he leaned over way too far, fell into the well, and drowned. The wife was stunned for a moment, but then she smiled. It really works!
Hey, I kind of like that. The couple drove down a country road for several miles, not saying a word. An earlier discussion had led to an argument, and neither of them wanted to concede their position. As they passed a barnyard of mules, goats, pigs, smelly things, the husband asked sarcastically, relatives of yours? Yep, the wife replied, in-laws.
Roger, aged 19, wanted to surprise his girlfriend for Valentine's Day and was buying an expensive bracelet at a very smart jeweler's shop in Hatton Garden, London. The jeweler inquired, would you like your girlfriend's name engraved on it? Roger thought for a minute, grinned, and answered, no, instead engraved to my one and only love. The jeweler smiled and said, yes, sir, how romantic of you. Roger retorted with a glint in his eye, not exactly romantic, just practical. This way, if we break up, I can use it again.
Kind of an Irish story there. And while we're talking about insensitive men, Jim asked his friend Tony whether he had bought his wife anything for Valentine's Day. Jim asked because Tony was a bit of a chauvinist. Yeah, I bought her a bag and belt, answers Tony. Well, that was kind of you, Jim answered. I hope she appreciated the thought. Tony smiled as he replied, so do I, and hopefully the vacuum cleaner will work better now.
Dum-dee-dum-dum. Here's why, if you want your wife to listen and pay strict attention to every word you say, talk in your sleep.
Groucho Marx says marriage is a great institution, but who wants to live in an institution?
Let's see. First guy proudly says, my wife's an angel. Second guy says, you're lucky mine's still alive.
And Frank Sinatra is quoted as saying, a man doesn't know what happiness is until they're married. And by then it's too late. Ha ha.
Okay. For the summary.
In summary today, we gave you a short history of Valentine's Day from its pagan origins through pre-Christian and post-Christian transitions. We talked of the strong Valentine movement in Victorian England and how it migrated by mail in Massachusetts. How she developed the handmade Valentine card concept that gained a favor throughout the country and resulted in a vast commercialization today. We hope we found these interesting as we did. Our mission on these Blog Talk radio presentations is to stimulate your thinking, draw your mind into handles, pump up your interest in life, rebuild your enthusiasm. Whether you're pro or con, we insist that you join us as we
investigate,
evaluate, and participate. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We want to thank you for listening to our podcast today. We will return with a continuing viewpoints next Tuesday at 2 p.m., February the 21st, when our discussion returns to our changing times, a look in the future. Join us.
I'm Teresa.
And I'm Steve. Thank you for listening. Think positive.
Be positive.
Live positive. Enjoy.
Have a great day.
Happy Valentine's Day.